Hi guys, today we're making my 25th birthday cake, which is a vintage inspired heart cake. First I made a batch of my vanilla sponge cake up. Once they were cooled, I put them in cling film, then in foil, then I put them in the freezer overnight. In the morning I took them out, defrosted them for 2 hours in the fridge, and then unwrapped them. The foil helps the condensation stay on the foil and not on the cake, keeping the cake nice and dry. As my cakes baked flat, there is no need to cut the tops off them, so I go ahead and put together 2 layers between some buttercream. Then I crumb coat that, put that back in the fridge. I put mine overnight, so allow the crumb coat to crust over completely. This means that when you touch the crumb coat, it doesn't go anywhere. Then we can move ahead to putting the pale pink buttercream top coat on. Once that's nice and smooth, put that back into the fridge for at least 2 hours to start forming a crust. While that's happening, let's get on to making the bright buttercream details. Grab a small amount of your buttercream and a small bowl. In the bowl, combine your red Colormill food coloring, mix it through, then grab a larger bowl, place a small bowl inside, then run the boiling water from the kettle along the side of the big bowl. Do not get the water into the actual small bowl. Then start mixing your colour, and you will notice it start becoming a vibrant, bright colour from the heat of the hot water. This method can be used in the microwave as well. I just don't have a microwave at home, so I use this method. As long as you're heating that buttercream up, you'll be able to emulsify the colours together. Go ahead and do this with the hot pink as well. Cut onto a baking paper and cut out a strip. With the strip, fold in half, then in half again, and then in half again, depending on how many swags you want on your cake. I then get a circle cutter, trace a semicircle onto the square we've just folded, then cut out the shape. Once you have cut out the shape, as you pull the baking paper back into a strip, it should have nice even semicircles along the strip. Place this around your cake and make the line either with a knife or drizzling tool and indent the shape along the cake. When you pull away the paper, it should leave marks for the outline of the swags. If you are still having difficulty, my blog post on kitchenandcrumb.com has a swags guide with photos to help you. To make out the words on top of the cake, I use Canva. I type the word I want, then trace over it with baking paper. I place that on top of the cake, and I use a pin to poke the words into the cake. When you peel the baking paper away, it'll leave small indentations that you can trace over with your small nozzle buttercream piping bag. The piping nozzles we'll be using today are the pedal tip nozzle, which is great for frills, the large round tip nozzle for borders, the small round tip nozzle for writing and outlining, and the leaf tip nozzle for the frills on the swags. Using the pedal tip with the thin side facing outwards, pipe a border around the cake. I used an 8-inch cake board for this cake. Then use the leaf tip to pipe the swags using a back and forth motion. You can see the swags on my cake aren't very defined, and that is because my buttercream is quite soft from the heat. It is a 40-degree day in my kitchen, and it is not very good for my buttercream. I also made this 1-layer heart-shaped cake for Valentine's Day photos. I tried to batch out my content in one go, so I have made 2 cakes in one day. So for the Bite Me Valentine's Day cake, I use the same techniques with the leaf tip for a frill border, then the large round tip for a scallop border on top of that, using the back and forth motion as I would for the rose tip. I am happy with how my cakes turned out. This is my second time attempting the vintage heart cake technique. I just think the heat was against me today, which is a baker's #1 enemy. I staged these with fabrics I had and romantic books to give an 80s cake vibe. The photos will be going on my Pinterest, which I hope to talk about more about on this channel. I am trying to gain traffic to my website from Pinterest. I hope you have learnt some tricks from this video, and subscribe if you want to see more cake videos from me.